Hi everyone, Becky from Ivy's Corner here, back to do another little mini mono tangle for you on my YouTube channel. Today's tangle that we're going to draw is Ellish, which is a Zentangle HQ tangle. It's a really nice one that's quite high focus, a little bit of aura, a little bit of drawing behind. I think it's called this because it sort of looks a bit like the letter L, but I'm guessing you can probably adapt it to be any sort of shape. But I'm going to kind of follow the kind of regular step out for this particular tangle today. So let's get started. I've got my pen, my pencil and my tortillon here, and I'm ready to go. I'm not going to draw a string today. I'm going to move those to one side for the moment. And I'm going to grab my pen and dive straight in. Now, to begin with Ellish, what I'm going to do is I am going to draw a sort of a soft S curve. So starting here, kind of coming round and then down here. Just a kind of fairly soft S curve. And then I'm going to do a tethered aura. So I'm going to start at one end, come out, and then back in. So we've kind of got this space here. And then once I've done that, I'm actually going to aura this space. I'm going to keep it a fairly tight aura because we want to kind of see a bit of space within that S-curve shape that we've got. So I've auraed that now. Space in the centre. And now once I've done that, I'm going to draw a little bit of a flourishy sort of line from this point and bring it round underneath this shape that we've placed at the top here. So I'm going to come off of this curve and bring it round and underneath here. So stop at this line, lift my pen and hollybore, draw behind and continue it up here. I'm going to do the same on this point. So I'm going to come from this point, curve it round, come to here, lift my pen, draw behind, and bring it this way. So you can kind of see that sort of L shape that we have. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another tethered aura, similar to what we did initially on this point here. So I'm going to start at this end, bring it down, hollybore again, draw up behind that shape, and then attach it back up here. And then the same on this one. So start here, bring it round, and then attach it back. So that is our kind of basic shape that we've got for Ellish. And then I'm going to be kind of repeating auras, alternating between this shape and these two kind of crescent shapes that we've got tucked behind. So I'm going to come from this one again, up here, and tether my aura at the top, hollybore under this crescent shape, and then come back down here, and also on the other side. So tether my aura to one end, draw down, hollybore underneath these shapes, and attach it back here. And then once I've done that, I'm then going to repeat that same action on these two crescent shapes I've got here. So let's tether the aura here, tuck in underneath, and attach it here. I'll do it on both sides. So tether it in here, bring it in here, and attach, and then I'll do the same thing here. Now eventually what's going to happen is that these auras are going to start bumping into each other, and that's okay. Bring this one around here. So the next time I come to do another one, that will bump into each other. But we're going to turn the tile and do this first shape again. So we're going to aura the same shape again. Tuck it underneath these new lines we've created. And then on the other side. And essentially, that is the basis of this tangle. And you could leave it there, or you can keep going. I'm going to aura here. And I think I'm going to keep going until I end up with not any space left to do my auras. So this one here is going to bump into here. I'm kind of going to imagine it's underneath. And then this one Now I'm obviously a bit limited here by my tile size, but if you did this on a larger tile, you could make it much bigger, give it a bit more of a flourish, and really make the most of interweaving loads of different auras here. I'm going to do another one here, out to the side. We're essentially just alternating auras on the central shape and these two crescent shapes. That's that inside shape done. I'm going to turn my tile and do another round in here. Don't forget this central space. And I think one final one here. Oh, I don't think I did one on that side, did I? There we go. There we go. And that is the basic cut line work for Ellish. So you can obviously, I could have stopped it a little bit earlier than that, but I just chose to fill up that central space with aura lines. So I'm now going to pick up my pencil. And when it comes to shading this one, there's a few different options. So I think what I'm going to do initially, at least, is think about where things cross over and go in and underneath each other. Now, because we have this central space here and this initial aura that we did on top of that sort of first S shape we drew, I'm going to shade all around the inside of that because it sits on top and it's going to make everything else drop back. I'm going to do the same on the outside, but I think I'm going to focus on these crescent shapes here, for now at least. So where those first crescent shapes disappear underneath. And then one of the ways this is kind of similar to betweed in the way that it's kind of one aura and then another, kind of they sort of overlap. And when it comes to betweed, you can kind of, or this particular tangle, you can think about where one line disappears under another and add shade to that area. So I'll do that here. You know, sort of it ends up being like a little zigzag pattern. But actually, when you come to soften this graphite, it ends up looking very much like you've just done something like this. So for speed, or not that you want to do it for speed really, but I think sometimes it's just easier to just add a little bit of graphite down these intersection areas. And it looks very similar to if you were sort of more precisely shading it. If you had a larger area where it's kind of been, your tangle was much larger, then it would be easier to perhaps to be more specific with where you're shading it. I'm also going to put just a little bit of graphite in these corners where the lines converge. And let's see how we go with that. So I've added my graphite. I'm going to soften it with the tortillon. I'm not going to pull it away from that line too much because I want to soften it so the line doesn't appear so harsh, but I also want to leave a bit of white space in the centre. I'm going to soften these lines here and just make some little circles and drop it down in these kind of intersecting areas. Like so, and then in this corner. And you can see, if you compare this side to this side, how much of a difference that tortillon makes. It really is like a magic wand. And if you look here, you can see I've done my steps of shading here, so you can kind of go in and shade specifically those areas. But I think really it feels much the same to do it that way. I'm going to just add a little bit more graphite into these converging lines because I forgot to do that before. And I'm also going to add some at the bottom of this round area. Just to give that a bit more depth. And then soften this. So there's lots of line work in this, but it looks really complicated and you sort of think, how did you do that? But it's a really fun tangle and a really interesting one, and it's a high focus one. You can make it quite bold and sort of more rounded like this by adding more auras, or you could make it a little bit finer, like finer auras, bigger tangle, and it would be a little bit more, a bit lighter with fewer auras. And there you go, that's Ellish. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do like and subscribe. You can also follow me on all of the usual social media channels. Don't forget to tag me if you do any follow any of these videos and use them in your artwork. And don't forget to use the hashtag Ivy's Corner to share with me what you've been up to. But thank you so much, and I'll see you again soon.